Listen, I've been with Sleater since I was 21, and now I'm 30, and I had a great working relationship with Sleater Promotions with Dimitri. He's not just my promoter, but he's a friend of mine, and we've done great business together and we've grown together. So I'm not saying that I'm not willing to do more business with him. It's just more of I want to see what is the best opportunity for me. Like I've been boxing for a long time, and everyone knows that I haven't got my best paydays, and I haven't been, I have gotten the recognition as far as in like pound for pound #1, winning the SB and all that stuff. But it was like I still haven't got like what I feel is
Yes.
is to me. So it's like, I believe that I should be getting paid 5, 10, 15 million a fight. I've always been able, like the past couple years, I've been able to get paid $1 million, $1.5 million, $1.8 million. Now it's like, how do I get that to 3, 5, 10 million? Who has the best deal? And I've also already beat the best already. So, when they talk about who else is there to fight, hey, it's not my fault that these girls, I beat them early. But now the girls who are now champions is like, hey, if they're willing to pay me for these big fights, I'm willing to fight whoever. As always, it has to make sense. So I'm really just weighing my options, to be honest.
That is Claressa Shields addressing her newfound free agency and her desire to make dollar amounts in the neighborhood of $5 million to $15 million moving forward. But what fight is either in the heavyweight division or the light heavyweight division, even super middle, if Claressa could get there, if she were willing to? What fight in those divisions would pay out that much? Of the pool of fighters anywhere in between those weights right now, what fight could Claressa even have where somebody would give her in between 5 and 15 million? I feel like she's already had the biggest fight that she could have had with Savannah Marshall. There's really no other fight like that anywhere in between 168 and heavyweight. And to try and get a dollar amount like that per fight moving forward, it's not going to happen with Sleater Promotions, but who could it happen with? Do you think Top Rank is willing to give her that kind of money? The PBC? Matchroom? I don't think so. Her very best bet to get at something close would have to be MVP, but even MVP isn't going to give her in between 5 and 15 for the kind of fights that she's been having. Think about the fight that she just had with Lonnie Daniels. You're telling me that she should get between 5 and 15 million for a fight like that? For girls like Danielle Perkins and Vanessa Joannice, tell me one girl you think should have got Claressa between 5 and 15 million from the time that she fought Savannah Marshall till now. Should is in many ways a 4-letter word in the sport of boxing. You get what you negotiate, and you get what you generate. Now, in the realm of negotiations, the only guy that I can think of that's kicking out that kind of money to fighters is Turki El Sheikh, but he doesn't seem to be a big fan of women's boxing. So she's not likely to get the money from him. I don't think she's likely to get that kind of money from MVP either. They're paying the girls, and they're paying the girls well, but that's a lot.
Can you tell us more about this Laila Ali offer? Where does this money come from, and who wants to put it on? Who would you have to sign with in order to put it on?
Well, that's all up in the air about who I would have to sign with now. But I know that Win Records has the 15 million, and it's an escrow. And if Layla wants to fight for that, is there? That's what her price was.
Am I the only one who finds it peculiar?
Strange.
That the same Claressa Shields that said she's only been able to make $1 million here, $1 million there, can get Laila Ali more money than she can get herself.
Well, it's not really Claressa, it's Win Records that came up with the 15 million.
Do the people at Win Records have any experience financing boxing matches? Because they don't seem to be financing Claressa's per se. They just came up with 15 million to give to Layla. What about everything else?
Another reason I don't think it's a real offer.
Because who's supposed to promote this show and what platform is supposed to broadcast it? Those are major details. At a time where Claressa Shields has recently become a free agent and she doesn't have a promoter to finance her fights, she can finance a $15 million offer to Layla.
Have you heard from her?
No, I haven't. But I know if I was 47 and one of these young girls came calling me out, I'd definitely come back and tear their ass up.
Okay, so you bring up her age. She also hasn't fought since 2007. What's the motivation there for you? I know she's Laila Ali. She's extremely famous. She's a Hall of Famer. She's the daughter of the greatest of all time. On and on it goes. But she also, Father Time undefeated, hasn't fought in 18 years and is 47. What would you be proving by fighting and ultimately beating her if you went in there with her?
Just be proving to her that I'm a better fighter than her. That's all that really matters to me. It's about the disrespect that she gives toward me. And I work my butt off to get to where I am without having a famous father to get to where I am and to raise the bar for women's boxing. That's my issue with her.
What Claressa's talking about are literally pre-pandemic videos of Laila Ali.
We're talking about videos from more than 6 years ago when Layla was asked about a Claressa Shields fight and what got the ball rolling between them, what it was.
Somebody asked Laila Ali if she would consider coming out of retirement, and Layla said she didn't see anybody out there that would make her want to. For whatever reason, Claressa Shields took offense, and that's what got the ball rolling. It wasn't Layla tearing her down or taking shots at her.
That's where it started. How it started.
You have to be careful how Claressa Shields chooses to tell this story, because she's not going to tell this story the way that it is. Laila Ali didn't start this.
And what is there to gain in fighting her now?
What would it prove? Not a lot. That you can beat a 47-year-old fighter who's been retired for close to 20 years? You don't need to come up with 15 million for that. Most people figure that. You're not trying to fight her because you don't expect her to fight. What you're trying to do is humiliate her with a fraudulent offer.
So should Canelo call out Joe Calzaghe?
To prove who's the best super middleweight? Enough people in the media aren't calling Claressa Shields out on this lunacy.
Now, the boxing fans themselves are letting her have it, but it feels like the media is being woefully silent on this.
That it's stupid. And they know it's stupid.
This doesn't prove what you think it proves. All it really proves is that you've got no situational awareness.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, via a post from World Boxing News, Gervonta Davis is not retired. Despite the rumors and Timothy Bradley's checked-out claims, WBN understands that Tank is just taking time, eyeing 140 pounds or a mega fight with Manny Pacquiao. But if that is what Gervonta is doing, where does that leave the Lamont Roach rematch?
Nowhere, because he doesn't want to have it. And that's what that would communicate. If he moves up to either 140 to fight somebody there, or 147 to fight a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao, all that really means is you didn't want to roll the dice with Lamont again. You didn't want to run it back.
You didn't want to fight him. You didn't want a rematch.
None of the rumors that have been out there about Gervonta have been conducive towards a second fight with Lamont Roach, because the rumor is either he's considering retirement or he's thinking about moving up in weight. Does Lamont really have him that spooked? Because he would effectively have chased him out of the lightweight division if he does end up moving up to either 140 or 147. That'd be good news in and of itself, because if he moves up to 140, he might drop the title he has at 135, and maybe it could go to somebody else, someone more interested in unifying it.
Wouldn't be a bad thing. The lightweight division would be allowed to move on. The highest ranked contender in the current WBA ranked standings is young Floyd S. Schofield and Mama Hofield. If anything were to happen to Gervonta, if he were to move up, if he were to retire, the belt would presumably go to him. And I know that we're not a fan of a lot of the stuff coming from the Schofields, but I am a little less tired of their bullshit than I am Gervonta's.
Yeah, he's been at it a lot longer.
So would his adoring public let him live it down that he didn't run it back with Lamont Roach, that he didn't get his lick back, and that he didn't make it right? Would they stand by him?
I think they would, because a lot of those people ain't got no standards. Gervonta Davis has been skirting out of real fights with real fighters for years now, at 130, at 135, and 140. They've never held him to that standard where he should be fighting the best, or
I think they would stand by him. Even if he doesn't fight Lamont Roach again, the question is, how many people are we actually talking about? How many people still are Gervonta Davis fans?
And what is a Gervonta Davis fan? Not somebody that buys pay-per-views, I gather. I mean, Gervonta Davis's numbers were never that great to begin with.
So I suppose the PBC can breathe a sigh of relief if he's not retiring, because if he were, well, what would that leave them with? Their only other flagship fighter, David Benavidez, looks to be boxing in Saudi for his next fight, and he could be in bed with Turkey for the foreseeable future if the fight in November works out. So that would only leave them with Gervonta.
I don't know of any other cards or any other fights that the PBC plans on doing for what remains of this year. When is the next PBC show? What do they have planned?
Doesn't look like they're planning on doing Davis versus Roach, too. That's the inference I can make, and you can make of that what you will.
No world title, but obviously you recognise that as a big fight.
Yeah.
I guess what can you tell us about this fight? I know I spoke to Adam Booth and he said the offer was, derisory and
the offer's shit. He's done it like you've got to reply in for 24 hours or we're moving to a different opponent. And it weren't Eddie, I think it's Eddie's lawyer who said it. So it's all smoke and mirrors, and then they put it out to the media. Listen, I'll take the Jaron Ennis fight 100%. Give me the right money and the right time, I'm there. I'll fight Jaron Ennis. These fights need to be prepared for. You can't just be saying, right, 24 hours, you got this many weeks, you got to fly here, you got this much money. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? We're fighters as well, and I'm an established fighter. I'm not just a fighter who's like, he's somewhere in the ranking, so you can just give him that I'm an established fighter, an established name, so it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. How much confidence do you think you take from a fight against Jaron Ennis?
Yeah, I've got a horrible style. He's got a horrible style, but I don't think he's ever boxed anyone similar to himself. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be who breaks the rhythm first. So if he wants to walk us down, play that game, and I can give him a boxing lesson.
Yeah, I know you spoke about it with the Conor Ben fight. You spoke about like Eddie Hearn being a bit bitter towards you for leaving. Do you still feel that's the case, especially with this Boots Ennis fight?
I mean, I don't know why he's not answered the phone, Adam. Ring Adam. No, don't go through lawyers and don't put it out there in the media without us knowing it. First time I knew about it.
Was you disappointed seeing that?
Well, I just first time I knew about it last night. I was like, looked on, and I was like, it's a bit mad, isn't it? I'm not sure if Adam mentioned something previously, during the day, but I wasn't really listening. And obviously I got that, and then this morning I've come in, I was like, what's all this? And he was like, I'm not sure. I was like, this is crazy, isn't it? It's like, fights get made without anyone even knowing anything about it. You know what I mean? And I don't know, boy. I'm not disappointed. I just know the way the business works. If you've got a commodity in your Eddie Hearn, you're going to try and work the best way you can for your business asset, in a sense. So yeah.
So that is Josh Kelly's version of the story. According to Josh, they gave them a time constraint, a deadline to accept the offer, and the offer itself was a lowball offer, though without an actual dollar amount to gauge that versus Josh Kelly's marquee value in the United Kingdom. We don't actually know if it is or isn't a lowball, or if it isn't that Josh Kelly's expectations for what he should get for a fight are a bit overblown. He's been boxing on Channel 5, the terrestrial network in the United Kingdom.
I think you'd have to ask a Brit, how much marquee value does Josh Kelly have after all those fights on Channel 5, boxing under the Wasserman banner, and fighting who he has been fighting? How much marquee value does he have, or does he not have?
Because outwardly, I don't get the sense that he has the kind of marquee value of a Conor Ben or a Chris Eubank Jr. I don't even think he has the marquee value of an Anthony Yard, for example, or a Lee Wood in Nottingham. a Josh Warrington in Leeds. I don't get the sense that Josh Kelly has that kind of following.
He wants the big bucks for a Jaron Ennis fight. It wouldn't be for a title either.
Not a full title, not a world title. At the very most, I think it would be for a WBO interim title that you can use as a segue to fight for a full one.
So they're going a WBO route.
I mean, at minimum, that gives me the impression that the names that they're looking at for a fight are names you would find in the WBO's ranked standings. Josh Kelly would be the highest ranked contender. Jaron Ennis would be the second highest ranked contender. Ranked behind Jaron Ennis is Erickson Lubin, but Erickson is otherwise unavailable because he's about to fight Bakram Murtazaliev. Ranked behind Erickson Lubin is Sergey Bohachuk. But I saw a story about a week ago that stated Eddie Hearn offered Sergey the fight and Sergey turned it down.
I don't know how true that is, and you can make of that what you will, but that's what Eddie said. They offered the fight to Sergey, and Sergey turned it down. Ranked behind Sergey is Jesus Ramos of the United States, a name I've mentioned more than once, a guy I would like to see Jaron Ennis fight, more than Josh Kelly.
I think Jesus Ramos would offer up a more legitimate acid test at 154 than Josh Kelly would, because Josh Kelly is really just a welterweight that moved up, and he hasn't made much of a splash since having moved up, whereas Jesus Ramos seems a more solid guy.
He's aggressive, he likes to punch.
I would rather see Jaron Ennis fight him. Ranked right behind Jesus is former unified welterweight champion turned junior middleweight Keith Thurman.
Just the other day, we saw Keith Thurman taking shots at Jaron Ennis and talking about the potentiality of that fight. He's there, but I maintain that to get him in the ring with Boots, Eddie would have to pay him the moon and the stars.
And I don't think he's about to do that for Keith Thurman. I think in the United States, Thurman versus Boots would get a lot of people's attention, though not enough that you should bill it as a pay-per-view, not enough that you should have to overspend to make it happen. That if you made Thurman versus Boots as a regular fight, as part of the regular schedule, I think it would get a lot of views. But if you build it as a pay-per-view, I'm sorry.
Forget it.
People are not buying pay-per-views anywhere near as much as they used to, and this would not entice them. Ranked behind Keith Thurman is former champion Israel Madrimov, who's coming off of not just one, but 2 consecutive losses to Terence Crawford and Virgil Ortiz. To my knowledge, he hasn't had a rebound fight yet, but I like that fight more than the Kelly fight.
It's a way more intriguing fight.
Israel Madrimov has movement, like Josh Kelly has movement, but not just movement, he's got power. Israel Madrimov can punch, and I think he would provide a stiff test for Jaron Ennis if they fought, not dissimilar from what we saw in the 2 Karen Chukadzian fights. Israel may be able to do that and more, because he's a puncher. He does have power.
And I think of all the aforementioned fighters, he would be the cheapest alternative. Because he's coming off of 2 back-to-back losses, and because he needs an opportunity. He needs a big win.
Some reservations about Boots fighting a fighter coming off of 2 back-to-back losses, though comparing it to the Kelly fight, I like it more than the Kelly fight.